Yeah, it was really cool. John and I really came at it from different places thematically. John really loves the Christian audience here in America and feels that they're very underserved and they don't get enough good entertainment. And I'm a real spiritual dude, and I just want everyone to feel loved by God. And so together, I think we crafted a really good, awesome piece of entertainment that touches Christians' hearts for sure. But I think also some of the feedback I've gotten is it's going beyond the church out here, and the people who watch it that give it a chance and don't think it's just going to be another piece of Christian entertainment are really moved by it and touched. And so I feel like maybe we threaded that needle. It's a great example of two guys who work together that came from maybe different sides of the universe in some ways, but we found a lot of harmony in our filmmaking together, and I think it really worked out. Well, it's wild in our business because there's so much resistance. It almost feels spiritual. It's very hard to get any movies made, and that's secular or Christian or otherwise. It's almost like movies are doomed. You really have to push through to get them made and fight to make them good, especially. And so yeah, just it falling apart a couple times I think was disheartening. On this one, we had a lot of weather problems. We actually had a tornado that shut our set down. We had to stop production, get everybody home and in safe shelters from this tornado, and so that was really wild. We lost about half a day of shooting that night. We just had the typical stuff though too, just long days, and you're trying to shoot too much movie in too little of days, which you always do, right? You're trying to make the biggest movie you can for the money and the time. And so yeah, there was definitely some production challenges, but I will say on this one, it felt really guided, and it felt like we had some wind in our sails that was not generated by human beings. Let's put it that way. And so, yeah, although it was hard and difficult and some things were threatening to fall apart, it was one of the greatest experiences that I've had. And I think if you interviewed some of the cast and crew, they would say the same thing. It was just a very special movie to make, and we made it together. And I will say, for me, the analogy I always use is like we're all on a pirate ship together, like sailing into uncharted waters. And I think most of us had a really good trip on this voyage together, even though we hit some rough weather, which was fine. We were happy to go through that to get to where we were all trying to go together. And yeah, we had a good time on this one. I think you'll feel it. It's a very loving movie, and a lot of love just comes off the screen. And we had a really wonderful guided time making this film together, for sure.
Hey, Square.
I am not a square.
I think we should invite Greg this weekend.
What's this weekend?
These people are hippies, rebels against old-fashioned authority.
I think these kids need help.
What they need is a bath.
You're passing judgment on people you know nothing about. Maybe that's why your church is so empty.
When God walks in here, brings me a hippie, I'll ask him what it's all about, because I do not understand.
This house has a very good vibe. There is an entire generation searching.
Slow down, man, slow down.
Just in all the wrong places. If you want to reach my people, you need to speak to them in a language they understand.
If I bring them in, I'm going to lose my job.
We can only walk through doors open to us. In your church, that's a door that's shut.
You've probably noticed we have some guests here today. I'd like you to meet my new friends. Welcome.
They don't belong here. Half of them aren't even wearing shoes. They're staining the new shag carpet.
They need our help.
If you feel like you're misunderstood and judged, you will find forgiveness and freedom right here.
That was awesome.
Now that door is open any time of day. And if there are some who don't like that, well then that door works both ways.
All right, Pastor, let's begin.
I was almost done with this, but then you did what nobody else would even dare.
This thing that we found, I feel like I belong.
You're gonna need a bigger church. Our country is a dark and divided place, but now there's hope, and it's spreading.
This is your home, and I want you to tell all your friends about it.
Sure. Well, when there are delays, legally, you have to cut everybody loose. And so we did. And we did lose some folks, to be honest. And when I came in, it was kind of nice for me because I like starting over from scratch with cast anyway. But I'll tell you who stayed over, and I was so grateful, was Joel Courtney, who plays young Greg Laurie. He stayed over and he immediately signed back on. And it was so great because he signed on with a different director. He didn't know me. So that's always a trust fall when you're jumping on with somebody you've never worked with or don't know their work. And so, but he came back on with me and I was very, very happy that he did. And he did an amazing job in this movie. And then also Nick Bishop, who plays Kathy's dad, he was on and he signed back on again. So I got those two guys that were holdovers from earlier times the film was trying to get made. But other than that, we started over from scratch. And so, and it was good. It was great. I loved casting this movie. John Irwin came in and Kevin Downs came in with a handful of casting choices that they wanted. And then the rest I cast with the casting director. And yeah, it's just the best cast I've ever worked with. There's just not a bad moment of acting in this entire movie. We get so many thanks and accolades from people who watched it and said, wow, the performances are so strong in your movie. Thank you. And it means a lot to me because we all worked hard and this cast was amazing, but they also worked very hard to bring a very authentic portrayal of this time to the world. Well, yes, I would go with you there. It's a big audience favorite. It actually divided the critics. In America, we're really divided right now. Politics has really hijacked a lot of the conversation and actually a lot of the feeling about our country. And it's very sad. It's a very sad time to live in America. It's the worst I've ever seen this country. I'm 50 years old. I was born in 1973. And yeah, man, you would rather hate somebody. You would rather hate your neighbor that lives across the street that has a different political party's flag in their yard than actually be their friend or have a conversation with them or have any sort of civil discourse on where the country's headed. It's become a lot more politically expedient to hate people in the country. And I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it. I think it's permeated the church in a way that I've never seen before, but I call it political idolatry. But I mean, if you get around, there's a large cross-section of Christians in our country. If you get around, the most they're going to talk to you is about politics. And a lot of it's going to be very hateful and very divisive. And so, yeah, man, in that sense, it did divide the critics because we're in a culture war right now that seems to even hijack good spiritual conversation. And so a lot of the critics threw rocks at it just because it was a Christian film. And unfortunately, I predicted it, but even our sweet little movie about love and acceptance and forgiveness and belonging is getting co-opted into this really hateful culture war. And I've said no to some press, I've said no to some press where I knew it was going to be really hateful and they were going to use my movie to continue to promote hatred in our country. And yeah, I just, it's not the way forward. It's a dead end. People are going to find that out very quickly if they haven't yet. And so yeah, no, there were some critics that didn't go with us on it, but the audience score has been overwhelmingly positive. It's almost been 100% of people who've seen it that are the audience for this movie that love it. And that makes me happy because I think that is working against the division in our country. If I can get a bunch of people to go see this movie and they all agree that they appreciate it and they love it and they're talking about it, to me, that's bringing some unity. to our country that we very, very desperately need right now.